round one, we're going to start with Neon and see how Neon API provides, the same capable access for an agent or a task in this case to create the database that we mentioned. If this context doesn't make sense, please go back and look at the initial video that describes round one. We're going to create a new task here for Neon. Again, making a database for our hypothetical newsletter OS platform. Again, we want to make sure there's a database project available inside the platform, inside of our account, and then it needs to create the necessary tables to act as this primary transactional database for this newsletter management system. So outputs of this should be that there are tables created ready for us to use inside the database. And just to confirm, we have nothing inside of our Neon account. This is just a fresh, empty account with no projects and no databases. So let's go back. We are going to run this with Claude Sonnet 3.5. And let's create this task. Notice that I've actually assigned the Neon profile, which just has the Neon MCP server installed into it. And let's run the task, see what happens. Again, I'll just kind of read through some of this debug log as things happen. Looks like it understands its job here. It's going to list our projects. Notice that project doesn't exist and it wants to create it, so it's going to use the create project tool from our generated MCP server. And it looks like the project was done. Created that. We've got a connection URI. And it's going to now generate the SQL again to run a migration for the database. And it's going to try to use a connection URI, even though we're doing this all over HTTP. And it does seem that Neon's API is generally very concentrated over using connection URIs, which definitely makes sense if you're running like an agent or your own code, obviously. It is generating the right SQL. It's creating all the right tables. And it says the schema is ready to use. Let's take a quick look. Also finished in about a minute. And yes, we have our project here. And hopefully we do not have tables. And this is actually because the Neon API on its own does not have an entry point to execute SQL. So unfortunately, we weren't able to actually do this task here. I do want to point out, however, that Neon does provide an MCP server that is not for MCP Run. It's actually just its own standalone thing. And their server does provide a kind of handwritten run SQL. So theoretically, this is possible, but Neon, we should get this in your API so that any OpenAPI consumer can also execute SQL. Anyways, also a great job. I mean, it was pretty cool that the project could be even created. We can manage our account this way, but we should be able to do a little bit more. So anyways,